Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another GC2K video. In today's video, we are going to be ranking the best power forwards in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM here on this tier list. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 25,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day. Tons of consistent daily MyTEAM content. Would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. Without further ado, let's hop right into it, and let's start off with the first card on this list, which is Pink Diamond Anthony Davis. I got 24 cards on today's list, so I think that's a pretty good number and should give us a good mix of power forwards. If there's anybody on the list that I left off the list, feel free to let me know and I'll tell you where I put those cards. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. So Anthony Davis, the first card on the list. I think he is an A-tier power forward. I think he's very good, nice release, great defender, capable as a playmaker, athletic, versatile, really good card. He is not the best of the best, but he is not that far away either. I think he's a very good card. I think A-tier is fair. Bam Adebayo, I'm sliding down. Honestly, the only reason I'm putting these cards this low, I only have 24 cards. I have to put some guys lower on the list. I like Bam. He's only 6'9". He's got a really nice release. He's great defensively, and he is capable-ish as a playmaker, although not great. The thing that I do like about Bam, though, is the release, the defense. He could use some shooting badges for sure. As a base card, he's a little small, and he's missing some badges. Needs those badges added for sure if you're going to use Bam at his highest level, so I think B is pretty fair for him. Bob Pettit's one of the worst cards in this list. He's an easy D tier, in my opinion. I understand he's got an acceptable release, and there are a few things that card does well, but in general, really the only thing he actually does well is shoot the ball, and honestly, like, there's a bunch of good power forwards that shoot the ball at a high level. That, to me personally, that doesn't do it for me. So I don't know. I'm just sharing my opinion, but at the end of the day, I don't like this Pettit card very much. He's not great defensively. He's not a playmaker. He's undersized. He just doesn't do what you really need a power forward to do. I think Chet is a B tier power forward at this point. On this list with the best of the best, I really do think that's totally fair. I don't think that's wrong at all to put him in that spot. And I really do think he's a great card. I mean, I think he's a very good card who does a lot of things really, really well. And I don't know. I like the card. He was amazing when he first came out and one of the best free rewards of the entire year. At this point, he's been out for, what, over 2 months? So I'm not saying he's outdated. I'm just saying he may not be the best of the best anymore, but that's also okay. He's still really good. I think B tier is totally fair. Chris Bosh is a slightly worse version of Chet, in my opinion. Not quite as good of a release, in my opinion. Not a great playmaker either. Defensively good, but unexceptional. The next Bosh card will be really good, I'm sure, but this Bosh was just like, he was never a card that I was particularly excited about when he first came out. D-Rob is obvious S to me. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. He's an elite level card, one of the best in the game for sure. Obviously a gambling only card, which I do not love, but at the same time, I mean, what are you going to do about it, right? And he is obviously an incredible card. I did include several of the gambling only cards in this list. I know people don't like that, but when on a tier list like this, I'm trying to include a good mix, and I'm trying to include all the top cards. In some of the top 10s, I'm trying to include less of them and stuff, but it just depends on the video, and I think D-Rob is obviously S tier. The thing about Dwight is defensively, he's great, and he's super athletic, but his release isn't very good, and that's not going to cut it. He's not an elite level shooter, and he's got a questionable release. He's also not a great playmaker, so there's some flaws in this Dwight card for sure. He's obviously incredible defensively, and I think his defensive prowess and his speed and athletic ability is enough to keep him out of the D tier, but it won't put him any higher than C. I do not think Giannis is S tier. I don't think he is. And when we are including the 100 overalls on all the top cards, which I have included on this list, I cannot see an argument for Giannis being S tier when I include the best of the best. Is he one of the 5 best power forwards in the game, including all of the cards? In my opinion, the answer is no. Therefore, I think it's totally fair to put Giannis in the A tier. The reason that I say that is because his release is just not extraordinary. That's the main complaint I have, in all honesty, about Giannis, is just simply that the release is not great. Playmaking-wise, he's very good. He's one of the most impactful defensive cards in the game, and he's an incredible slasher, but I still don't think I can put him higher than A tier on this list. Hakeem is D. Hakeem can't playmake. His release is okay, but it's not great, and he's also not an elite level shooter. He's a worse version of Dwight, in my opinion. He's just not all that good of a card at this point. When he first came out, he was great, but that was, what, 3 months ago at this point? It's been a while. Jaren Jackson Jr. He is, in my opinion, a slightly better version of Anthony Davis. He doesn't quite give you the playmaking of AD, but I think he has a slightly bigger player build, and I like his release a little bit more than AD's as well. At the same time, I would say AD is a really, really good card, and Jaren, I mean, they're both really good. Jaren is free, which is certainly one of the best things about that card for sure is how cheap he is, or the fact that he's free, obviously, that you can grind for him. His agenda is not incredibly easy to complete, but him being a free grindable card is always a W, and he is a really, really good card in my team. Great shooter, great defender. That is the main value that he will give you. Embiid, this might be kind of controversial, but I don't think it's that bad of an idea to put him. Is B too low? The thing that I don't like about Embiid, he's not a playmaker, and his release is mediocre. At power forward, those two things are flaws. I mean, they just quite simply are. I don't love the release. I don't find it incredibly consistent. Yeah, he's just not my favorite. In all honesty, I don't think he's a bad card, but he's certainly not my favorite option either. I think B tier is pretty fair. Julius Randle, he's 6'8". He's a good all-around card, great stats and badges, but he's too darn small to be elite. I think C tier is fair. Kareem is obviously S. He is the first of the 100 overalls. I was honestly tempted to not include the 100 overalls at all on this list, but I decided to include them on tier lists, I guess. Kareem is definitely S tier. He is the best power forward in the game, or at the very minimum, he and one other guy are the two best. But I think he's obviously S tier, and that's not debatable. Karl-Anthony Towns is not top 5, but he is A tier, 100%. Really, really good card, but I'm not putting him S tier because I think there are 5 guys better on this list than Cat. He's great. I'd say he's better than Jaren and AD, probably about the same level as Giannis. Not quite S tier, though, in my mind. Obviously, KG, I think, is probably the best card in the game. His small forward eligibility is what makes him so incredible. But at power forward as well, I think he's as good or better than KG, or than Kareem, quite simply because his animations are better. He moves better. He's got better SIGs, all that type of stuff. And either way, they're both S tier. Obviously, the 2 best cards in the game right now are Kareem and KG in my mind. So 2 obvious S tiers there. Moses Malone. The question with Moses is he the last guy in the S tier? And I don't think the answer is yes. Is he the last guy in the A tier, though? The answer to that is probably yes. Or actually, I think he might. I think he's better than Moses and Jaren, or AD and Jaren, and maybe better than Giannis. Like, you could make the argument. He's got a better release. I'll say that. He's really versatile defensively. He gets every badge. He's 6'10". He's obviously able to put the ball on the floor as well. This Moses card is great. He is a really, really good end reward. I still think he's not S tier, but I think he's a very, very good card. Miles Turner. He's S tier. I think he's a slightly worse version of D-Rob, but I think they basically give you about the same thing. The only thing is D-Rob is like 2 inches taller, but they give you pretty similar things on the court. Both of them have really good releases. Both of the, or for big man, at least they have really good releases. Both of them are really good catch and shoot shooters. Both of them are very complete, even as base cards. Both of them, in my opinion, are the 2 best non-100 overall power forwards in the game. Unfortunately, they're both gambling only as well, which is a real shame. Jokic is good as well, but in all honesty, kind of like Embiid, I just don't love the card personally. I may be in the minority on that. I know people do like this Jokic card. I just have never loved him. I think his release is a little bit slower. His playmaking is good, but it's not next level incredible defensively. He's also, I would say, not like next level incredible by any means. Like, that's not to say he's a bad card. I just think he's not the best, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with him not being the best option in the game or anything. But I do think, honestly, like, I think Embiid and Jokic are both pretty fair to put B tier for me. Paulo Banchero, I'm putting him B as well. He's 6'10", really athletic, able to put the ball on the floor. Great shooter with Hoff Limitless as well, and a capable defender. He is a really good card. I think people honestly kind of sleep on how good this Paulo Banchero really is, because I think he kind of gives you pretty close to everything that you really want. At the power forward position, maybe not the greatest size, but a versatile defender. Like, I understand there are a lot of really good power forwards, and I'd say probably putting him B tier is the fairest spot to put him, but at the same time, I want to put him higher than that. I'll be honest. He's a very good card, and I think it's totally fair to put him B tier. I almost want to put him A. Shaq is S. The thing about Shaq is I would actually take D-Rob and maybe Miles over him as well, even though he's 100 overall, because his release sucks. His release sucks. Shaq's release is terrible. He's still S tier. He's still 100 overall. He's still unbelievably good, and he's still probably the 3rd best card in the game after KG and Kareem, but in my opinion, at power forward, I might actually run D-Rob and Miles over him. At the same time, he's still S tier, and I would take him over everybody in A tier for sure at power forward. So he's up there, but I'm actually putting him a little lower than D-Rob and Miles in my mind. Thurl Bailey. The thing about Thurl, I really liked this card when he first came out, but he is missing so many important badges, and he can't get them, and that is a big-time liability. The amount of badges that he's missing that he can't get at this point makes him way worse than he first was when he came out. I mean, I was a huge fan of Thurl. I thought he was as good as anybody at the power forward position when he first came out, and honestly, when he first came out, he kind of was, but at this point, he's just a little bit outdated compared to the best of the best. He's just missing a lot of important badges, and I don't think he's all that great of a card. Tyson Chandler goes B to me. I really like Tyson. I think he's A. I mean, I want to put him A, but as a base card, he's not A. He needs a lot of shooting and playmaking badges. My Tyson has a bunch of extra badges, including some Hall of Fame badges added and stuff, and yes, he's still in my lineup. In all honesty, I like him better than both AD and Jaren as an overall card, but at power forward, especially as a base card, I might take both those guys over him, at least as base cards. So I think top of B is very good. I honestly want to put him higher than that, but I'm moving Chet down a tier, by the way. I think that's the fairest one to move down a tier. Looking at this B tier, I think he's the guy. Willis Reed also probably has to go C. Quite simply just because he's a shooter, but he has a nice release, honestly. Really nice release. But he doesn't have the greatest ratings. He needs a lot of badges upgraded. He's only a diamond. Defensively, he's good, but as a whole, he's just a little outdated compared to the best of the best. And then we got E, who's also going to go B tier. And I think that's a pretty fair spot to put him as well. A 7-footer. He doesn't have the most incredible speed nor the most incredible playmaking ability, but he is still a really, really good card who does pretty close to everything that you need. Well, at the power forward position, he's a versatile defender. He's athletic, and he's obviously an elite level catch and shoot shooter. I think that's probably his best feature is the catch and shoot shooting ability, in my opinion. That is probably his, and he's obviously got the great shooting badges and everything. So I like this card. I think E's pretty good. I think B tier is pretty fair, but I wouldn't put him any higher than that. Overall, I know this D tier only has 2 guys. Maybe I should have included a couple of worse cards to give the D tier a little more validity. I could move a guy like Dwight or Julius Randle down. And you know what? In the interest of evening out this list, I'm moving a couple cards down. I'm moving E down as well, and I think we're leaving it like this. I know this is an interesting list, and these guys, even the guys in C tier, are not bad cards. Even the guys in D tier aren't terrible. But these are the best of the best, and I think this is a pretty fair tier list. So let me know what y'all think of the list in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.